going on, guys? On today's Trophy Kids, we got a great show for you. We're talking Stanley Cup Finals, NBA playoffs, and we are doing our divisional breakdown of the AFC North. It's a great show. Let's go. It is May 29th, and we have survived the Memorial Day weekend. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing well. We made it through. We had a lot of fun. No one had too much fun. Not really. No one had too much fun that I could think of. We were all adults and enjoyed ourselves. And yeah, how are you?
I'm doing great. I think I deserve a round of applause for having to watch the Bruins game last night super late. Mm-hmm. As this might be a very relatable fact. You and I went to a friend's lake house at the beautiful Smith Mountain Lake this weekend.
Beautiful.
Lovely time. But as every Memorial Day weekend goes when you're in your young to late 20s, and even in your older, probably 50s, once your kids have gotten to the age where 40s, you don't have to be as responsible. You drink a lot. You don't sleep as much. You don't eat as great. Monday, traveled home. Dead tired. Got home. Knew I needed a little bit of a cat nap. Took about a 45-minute cat nap. Otherwise, I was not going to make it through the Bruins game. Barely made it through the Bruins game, but boy, did I enjoy the hell out of myself after that. We'll say midway through the second got started.
Yeah, I would agree. It was about midway through. I was happy with the game. They had a late goal to cover. They had a late goal for the over, so happy man over here. You're obviously way more happy than I am with being a Boston fan, of course.
Beautiful game. So we'll get right into it because I have lots of thoughts on it to start off. We got a great show too planned today. Got a little hockey talk we're gonna get into, NBA talk. I probably should have gave a little teaser at the beginning. I'll throw it in the intro. More importantly, we got our divisional breakdown of the AFC North.
Oh man,
it's gonna be good. All right, but hockey because we've got real sports going on. The Rust versus Rust thing was heavy on my mind to go into it, and Rusty was the best way to describe that team going into that first period, early second. I mean, the Bruins looked fast, well-rested, but very sloppy. I mean, those two goals that the Blues got were both off just terribly sloppy plays. The first one, just bad defense, not great. That second one, the pasta pass, thinking Char was behind him, nowhere to be found, turned it over right in front of the net. That was silly.
That was terrible.
Oh, my goodness. That was about one of the worst plays I've ever seen. I was like, damn it, they're drunk again like they were in the early part.
That was really bad.
Then the Blues did this thing, and I love it. I mean, I love it because I'm not playing the game, so it doesn't affect me at all. But when teams decide to get chippy and a little dirty and try to go to war with us, I feel like all the Bruins are like, fuck yes, let's go to war. Let's do this. They're like the that suit in Black Panther. For every hit you give them, they absorb it, and they give 2 times as much effort back. It is waking the bear. I'm not going to say his name because he doesn't deserve the recognition, but that scumbag over there getting cross-check to David Back's face. That got the team going. Got a late check into the boards. Torrey Krug just murdering people with no helmet on. It got them going.
Yeah, that was awesome. I loved that.
Loved it.
So awesome, dude.
But it's like
just got up like an absolute maniac and just bolts down the rink and just like his entire body just goes flying into another. It was just amazing.
Awesome. And this is
why. It was awesome.
The worst thing the Blues could have done was start at playing dirty and chippy and get a little full of themselves because that's when the bear wakes up. That's when the Bruins get going. That's when we start playing our best hockey. And you could tell it immediately switched right on. And they came back 2-0. You blow a 2-0 lead in game one when they were playing like that in the first period and a half is embarrassing if you're a St. Louis fan.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. And trying to get physical with them, I mean, you're waking them up. And I mean, not that it's a bad thing in hockey at all, but a lot of the Bruins players like to play dirty anyway. Right. So you're just and once games get chippy, the refs kind of tend to swallow their whistles, can't call a penalty on fucking everyone.
No.
So, yeah, that's kind of what the Bruins feed off of.
Yeah, it's hockey. Don't get me wrong. You want to be a physical team, and I'm sure Blues fans are like, hey, we got to play physical because that's who they've been. But you're playing, I would argue, you can make the argument, at least top 2 teams, of players that are professional pests. Like, they push you to where you lose control and they are in control. Like, they are not going to lose their heads. You will lose their heads. They're going to feed off that. They love getting physical, and that's what happened. Like, it's a recipe for disaster if you're a Blue fan. I will say this. I've been told I'm a grumpy man, a little negative in my life, so I will say one nice thing about the Blues. You did a great job in the first period of getting rid of those juicy rebounds. The rest of the game
now.
Beautiful, the Bruins. Yeah.
I mean, you're right. The Bruins definitely won periods 2 and 3, and they covered for me and made me money, so that's what I like.
It's a lovely thing. I'll probably take them again in game 2 just because of how that performance went.
I think I will as well.
Yeah, especially knowing the Char injury was nothing really serious, just cut open his wrist, had to get some stitches. Yeah. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Krug's getting a statue outside the Garden now with that hit. Everybody started to get going there. So, yeah, I'll probably take them in game 2. That's really all I have. I took them game 1. Got to take them in the Garden. Blues, you're going to have to do some work in St. Louis, but I don't know. If this Bruins team, it looks like the rust came off quickly, and that is a problem if you're a Blues fan.
Yep, agreed. That's all I got, too. So, yeah, we'll see. Beautiful.
We're moving on to the NBA. And before we get to the NBA Finals, because we haven't really addressed this yet, how do you feel on this Drake situation, this bubble that is about to burst?
I see both sides. I can understand how he would annoy you. He actually really doesn't annoy me. I don't think he should be going up and touching coach, even if he is the Raptors coach. Just, probably don't need to do that, even if it was just a joking little massage. But personally, I really have no problem for it. I think it's kind of fun. And it's also, obviously he loves the camera and he likes that they're on there, but he's not saying put the camera on me.
Right. Yeah. Here's where I like it, because people can compare it to the Spike thing. I don't disagree. Yeah. I love this type of antics. It's why we're called fans. We're fanatics for this stuff. Like, it's pure emotion. My problem with it is it's Drake. And Drake is the most fair weather, bandwagony, just terrible fan in the world. And it's like, he's just making it about him. Like, the story now is, it's still about the Raptors making it to the finals and this awesome performance they just put on. And making me eat my words for sure when I was like, oh, the Bucks are just stomping them, and they turned around. Too. But it is sort of like, Drake, chill the fuck out. Like, next year you're probably gonna be wearing Golden State jerseys when Kawhi leaves and they're in the finals again. Like, it's just so phony. That's my problem with it. It feels phony. It's not necessarily funny because he is a Toronto guy, but it just doesn't have the same feel as like a Spike Lee doing it. Or some other super fan who dies for their teams. Yeah,
Spike Lee was way more of like a super fan, like Jack Nicklaus or Nicholson. I fucking always mix. I think it's Nicholson. Jack Nicholson with the Lakers. Those guys are like well-known super fans, and with Drake, maybe Spike Lee's worn like a Michael Jordan jersey, but show me Spike Lee not in a Knicks jersey.
Right.
I've never seen it. You'll see Drake in any, like you said, any other jersey. He's a Kentucky Wildcat fan. Yeah. He's like, it's just like, well, they're not near Toronto. Like, what's going on? He's just a fair weather bandwagon fan.
Exactly.
But yes, I get obviously we understand his passion for the Raptors. That one is actually semi-legit, but you're not Spike Lee.
Yeah, that's my thing. Like, I don't really have a huge problem with it. It's just like, it is getting a little crazy for a guy who next year, if Kawhi leaves, is probably not going to show up to a Raptors game. Like,
and exactly, and it's like after Kawhi, who's the next most talked about Toronto person in that series? It's fucking Drake,
right? Which is insane. It's like he's become the story, and that's sort of what he wants to do. I think. I will say this: I don't know if you've noticed this. He's totally bought into his own curse because he has not worn. I don't think I've seen him in a Raptors gear in Toronto at any of those games.
No, you're right. He doesn't really. He just wears obviously nice ass clothes, but he doesn't wear any gear. You're right. I haven't noticed it either.
No gear, which I believe he has fully bought into his curse ability.
Well, he wore Sixers jerseys, didn't he? Sixers shorts.
Yep.
Yeah. So
he became self-aware. Yeah. All right, now on to the actual basketball play.
Okay, yeah.
Had to touch on it because it's becoming the story at the mothership over at ESPN and everywhere else.
Oh yeah, you gotta talk about it, yeah.
But NBA Finals, I gotta say, what the Raptors did, I didn't get to watch a lot of it because we were at the lake. We did go old school though and put it on radio version down at the dock. which was an interesting little throwback to like the 1920s. What the Raptors did is sort of incredible because the Bucks were curb stomping teams. And to be able just to turn that on your head like they did, massive props to them. Yeah. How do we feel about them going into this NBA Finals, though, against what looks like to be an unbeatable Golden State team?
Yeah, which looks to be a Golden State team that's like the best they've ever been. I mean, I don't feel great. I didn't even realize this until yesterday. I had no idea that they had home court. So I like that. We'll take that.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know that. I thought they went by seed, but apparently the Raptors, even though they're the 2 seed, had a better record than the Warriors. Apparently. I don't know. I didn't know that. So anyway, so I'll give them that. So at least we start 2 at home. So maybe they can split 1 in the beginning, but I don't see them. I see them maybe getting very lucky and taking it to 6, but I'm guessing Golden State in 5. I don't love their chances. How could you?
Yeah, I feel the same. I know the PMT boys mentioned it. It's going around the ESPN circuit. This take of like, you just got to get physical with them as if we're playing blacktop basketball. I don't know if you've been watching the officiating in the NBA, but there's no more getting tough with teams. Nobody's body checking Steph as he comes down the lane. Like, those days are long gone.
Those days are so long gone. The last time I really remember that happening, I remember when LeBron and his youth used to play the Wizards, and Brendan Haywood would just knock the living shit out of him in the paint. But those days are 10, 12 years over.
Yep. I was going to say, I remember Garnett getting a little feisty in the paint back like when that Celtics Dream Team type of deal. But like, yeah, long gone are those days. So this take that like the Raptors just need to get physical is insane to me. I will say I'm with you. I give them about 5, maybe game 6. Only reason is if Kyle O'Reilly continues to play not sucky basketball, they got a chance to compete. I mean, they can slow the ball down a little bit. Kawhi, even though he looked a little banged up, can pretty much do whatever he wants on the court. Yeah. You don't have Durant, but that actually I think works as a bit of a negative, which we've said multiple times is insane. I understand. It's crazy to be like, yeah, you're better without the guy who drops 40 a game. But they look like they're having more fun. They look better. Way more efficient. People are getting their shots. Steph definitely plays better without Durant.
Oh, way better.
Like, not way even better. Close. Yeah. So they do. They look like the Monstars, but Jordan ain't showing up. Like, that's what it looks like.
Yeah, I agree. So I don't like their chances. I actually think, I'm pretty sure I saw that the Warriors are opening as dogs in game 1, which is... That's crazy. Which is fantastic if you ask me.
I was going to say, going to jump on that right after we're done with
this. I already jumped on it. I mean, it's not like big dogs, but I did jump on it. But how could you possibly think the Raptors could win? It would be amazing. I hope they do, and I'll cheer for them, but I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. Yeah, I don't see it either, and I also...
And you know what's even crazier, not to interrupt you, but like we're like talking about like, well, let's just say like we're talking about Durant coming back and everything, and he probably will, which is potentially good news, but maybe not for the Raptors. But who we forget about, like DeMarcus Cousins might be coming back too. Yeah. Like I forget he's even on the fucking team. Like oh my God, DeMarcus Cousins might come back. Dude, I'm like what?
Him and Drake is going to be a very interesting interaction.
Yeah, I would advise Drake just to not talk to that man. That is a scary large man. I just stay clear of him.
Oh man, that I am down for. That is made TV right there. Yeah, that is insane. It's just like there's so many different levels to the Warriors that it's a behemoth to try to take down. It's just nuts. But it is. Who knows? Hopefully Durant just leaves and makes this thing a little bit more competitive.
Just a little more even.
Yeah, I'd like it. Yeah, a little bit. Him and Kawhi can team up.
Yeah.
Down in Clippers land.
There you go.
Any other notes on the NBA before we move on to our favorite topic, that is the NFL?
I'm just ready for the big time topic here.
Beautiful. And with that, as the great teaser, we move into our divisional breakdown series. We are about 7 weeks out from training camp.
Let's go.
Love it. Last week we did the AFC East, I apologize. This week we have got probably not the most interesting division, I'm not going to say, but definitely the most hyped division coming into it. Storylines about You have got the runaway train in the Cleveland Browns, the runaway hype train in the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah.
So we might as well just start with the icing on the top, the Cleveland Browns.
Oh, my goodness. Okay.
There has been no team that the 49ers are probably the closest last year that I think have come into a season so insanely hyped for being such a terrible organization.
I know.
But it's deservingly so, because on paper, this team is madness.
This team is ridiculous, man. I mean, I knew it was ridiculous, but then we start doing this, and I look at this team, I'm like, oh my God, this team is stacked. Like, I mean, they added just studly players. And they added Sheldon Richardson, Morgan Burnett, Eric Kush. I don't know anything about him. I just wanted to say Kush. Kareem Hunt, Odell Beckham. And, I mean, all they really lost, they lost Jamie Collins, who's a good player, and then they lost Jabril Peppers. But, I mean, like, for example, on offense, you've got Baker, Odell, Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, David Njoku, and Kareem Hunt?
Yep.
I mean, are you kidding me?
It is, and they might even add Gerald McCoy, which is a rumored destination of his. He was there over the weekend, I believe. Yeah.
So let's review this. So on their defensive line, they have Myles Garrett, Sheldon Richardson, Olivier Vernon, and they may also add Gerald McCoy. I mean, are you kidding me?
The
Browns are nasty, dude. The Browns are nasty.
They're what the 76ers wish had happened with their process, but in football, because this team is nuts. So as you got into the roster, the defensive side is nuts. The offensive side, as you talked about as well, is insane. Baker, Nick Chubb, Duke Johnson is another option for them. Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, Antonio Callaway, Odell Beckham, Njoku. I mean, just insanity.
I'm looking at these offensive weapons you just named. I think every single one of them, maybe Jordan Reed's better than Njoku, but I mean every single one of these guys is a better offensive weapon than the entire Redskins offense. Yeah. Every single one of those guys.
It is.
They have 6 guys on offense that are better than every single guy on our offense.
Yes.
That's insane to me.
So they finished last year 7-8. They're third in the AFC North. Here's the thing I'm going to say with this, because I sort of teased it a little bit. They are the runaway hype train. If there's one thing we know to be extremely true about football, things can look amazing on paper and absolutely fall apart in a hot second.
Yes, they can.
The Cleveland Browns have a historic track record of being a flaming river disaster, to say it politely. That is a lot of personalities to manage. But you have got an absolute certified baller in quarterback, in Baker Mayfield, who has the personality to, I think, rein them all in. My biggest concern is Freddie Kitchens, the head coach.
Yeah.
Freddie Kitchens has got the personality, but I think he might be a little over his skis, because he is coming in where expectations are not low for a first-time head coach.
No.
He, while yes, had an offensive explosion, has never had to deal with any type of adversity from an offensive play calling. You haven't lost a major starter. There hasn't been a major injury. Football, as you may or may not know, folks, is an injury-prone game.
Very.
It is different when you have full kind of control over the offense to being more of a team manager in the head coach position. I think that is where, if I'm a Browns fan, I have my major concerns about this thing may not work out as we think, at least in year one.
Yeah, I mean, it is a lot of personalities to manage, and I think every single one of these offensive weapons that we named, I don't think any one of them are older than 26. So it's potential for some maturity issues, no doubt. But yeah, I do think it could be a 1 year, 2 year. There could be some early struggles for sure. I mean, it kind of reminds me of that Eagles team, like, God, life flies. It was probably like 8-10 years ago when they had they were signing everyone. Yeah. And they even brought in Vince Young, and he said it was a dream team, and they got cursed from then on. It kind of reminds me of like that situation where it could go bad. I will say, however, I'm kind of in on the hype. I can't believe I'm saying this. I have the Browns going 12-4 and finishing in first place.
That is a very good segue because I was just going to go through the schedule. I do as well. It's hard not to buy. I think you look like a fool if you're somebody who doesn't buy into the hype initially because we're nitpicking the hell out of this team right now. Let's be very realistic.
We really are.
We are nitpicking a team that not only on paper looks very good, but last year finished the season very strong and only added better pieces. So, and I don't think the personalities are going to be as big of an issue. Once again, Baker Mayfield is an enormously big anchor. He's got that personality to control everything. That schedule, though, starts off nice. Titans, Jets. I mean, talk about getting your sparring rounds in before the big fight. But then you got your big fight.
You do.
In the Rams. It's at home. That might be a pitfall. You got Ravens, 49ers, who have backslid, but still a very talented team, minus some injuries last year. Seahawks, Patriots, Broncos, Bills, Steelers, Dolphins, Steelers, Bengals, Cardinals, Ravens, Bengals. Not a bad schedule all in all.
Not bad.
But yeah, there are some games that could be easily lost.
Oh, yeah, there's some tough ones. I think I have them dropping in. I think I'm dropping to the Rams, Seahawks, probably one of the Steelers. I can't remember exactly, but I do have them beating the Patriots because I remember last week I said Pat's first loss is going to be against the Browns, so I'm sticking with that.
I agree.
But I can't believe I'm saying it, but 12-4.
I would say as well. Here's the nice thing: that back end of that schedule looks super nice if you're a Browns fan. Once you get past that Broncos game on November 3rd, you have Bills, Steelers, who we'll get to in a moment, Dolphins, Steelers, Bengals, who we'll also get to in a moment, the Cardinals, and then the Ravens and Bengals to finish it out. I mean, come on. Yeah, nice schedule. I agree. I have them about there. Here's the other thing that I should have maybe put out there in the beginning. I did some beautiful prep for this. I mean, looked like a chef in a kitchen putting together a beautiful spread. Force power down my computer today to even work. Forgot to send the document. So we're doing this on the fly. Thankfully, I got a beautiful football brain. But I agree. I had them number one. They're the easiest team to talk about. I think we did a pretty good job there. We'll see how it plays out, but I don't see a reason why the Browns aren't number one in this division, as we'll probably get to here as we cover the rest of these teams.
Yeah.
I guess the next segment would be the Steelers. Is probably the second most talked about team, given the collapse of epic talent that they've had. Talk about a team who had it made as far as having a star wide receiver, a game-changing running back, a very good quarterback, even though he is probably a dick and the cause of most of this collapse, a good second-string wide receiver, good backup running back, and just a good overall franchise. And this is going to go, I don't know how you feel about this division as a whole. This division, the AFC, I should have said this also up top, AFC North, for arguably the last couple of years, I would say it's probably been one of the most competitive divisions in football, outside of the Browns sucking.
Definitely the top two, Top two.
There are three teams, the Bengals, the Ravens, the Steelers.
Bengals too.
Yeah, have always been playoff contenders for the last couple of years. This is a big backslide. I'm looking at the Steelers. One, love their draft as far as getting Devin Bush. Feels like a Steeler guy. Good value. Got Benny Snell Jr., who's great value. Zach Gentry, the tight end out of Michigan. I think he's going to be a pretty good piece for them. Good team. There's still depth here, but I am concerned that the Bengals are sort of that dude who you saw, looked really good in high school, played really well, went to college, had a couple too many beers, things started to go negatively for them. They show up next year, 25 pounds overweight, and just not looking great.
Yeah, I understand. I do agree. It was definitely a messy offseason for sure. I didn't hate their additions that they made. I mean, I like Mark Barron, Dante Moncrief, and they re-signed Eli Rogers, who I actually think can be good. But I mean, when you're comparing that to what you lost, I mean, Dante Moncrief and compared to Antonio Brown, like, come on, let's be serious here.
Yep.
However, there's one thing I will say about the Steelers. They always are stacked at wide receiver. Like, if you think about the receivers they've let go, they've let Plaxico go, they let Antonio Holmes go, they let Emmanuel Sanders go, Martavis Bryant kind of let himself go, and now you have Antonio Brown, who they also, I mean, it's like they're always running receivers kind of out of town and just replacing them with other damn good receivers. It'll be interesting to see, like, how good Juju really is, because we'll know now. Because when you have Brown literally getting double teamed, triple teamed, like a double team to Brown is normal. Like, there were times where he was legitimately triple teamed.
Yep.
Like, so you will really get to see how good Juju is this year. I think he's good. I don't think he's going to be their next Antonio Brown. But the Steelers, they do this with wide receivers, is what I'm basically trying to say. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, they lost Bell, but I mean, they have James Conner. Obviously, they're two very different running backs, but they're both productive.
Yeah.
I think that it looks worse than it really is there. I don't think they're a playoff team. I think they're probably going to finish around 500, but I don't think it's going to be like a disastrous like 6-10.
I agree. Here's what gives me hope. That defense, when I was looking over it, still looks pretty good.
Does look pretty good.
Yeah, and that's going to be key. The offense, once again, when you look at the other teams in the division, the Steelers, I think, are just going to be just fine this year. The problem will be what those other two teams outside of the Browns do going forward, where the Steelers might get stuck in that area where they're just good enough to not get top picks and also be just bad enough that they're not really doing anything.
Yeah, they're not really. They're kind of like the Skins.
Yes, exactly. They have a real potential here because they don't have a backup plan for Ben Roethlisberger.
Not at all.
Like, the backup is Joshua Dobbs, and then Mason Rudolph. Like, there is no backup plan there, and I think they're going to be just good enough where they're not going to really get a great quarterback in the draft. So it's like, go test free agency, go make a trade, but then you also don't have a ton of assets. So the Steelers are in an interesting, weird place. But the defense gives me hope that they're going to be okay. I agree. Juju Smith, too. You cannot be getting two polar opposite personalities, at least what it looks like. I mean, this is a kid who brings his lunch pail, fits right into the Pittsburgh kind of culture around the city, it feels like. Good player. I agree with you. Also, I think we're going to see just how beneficial it is to have arguably the best wide receiver in football on your team.
That's where I think they could run into a real big issue. I mean, Antonio Brown, I'm a huge Brown guy. I've already said it before. I mean, I think his comparison, and I'm not saying he's as good as this guy, but his style of play, his comparison to me is Jerry Rice.
Yep.
Like, not huge. He's fast, but he's not the fastest. I mean, he has ridiculous hands. I mean, his comparison to me is fucking Jerry Rice. I mean, so when you lose that, defenses can cover you a whole lot better. It's way easier.
I agree. Their schedule is also not bad, but also could lead itself to like once again like a 9-6, 8-8. They do have the benefit of playing the Patriots early, who the Patriots the last couple years get off to very slow starts.
They do.
They're like Usain Bolt, though. They get off the block slow, but man, do they catch up quick. It's at Foxborough, but then they have to play at Seattle. They got San Francisco, the Bengals, Ravens, which isn't bad, but then the Chargers. So it's not great. Miami, Colts, Rams, Browns, Bengals, Browns. I love how the AFC North just back ends their schedule, so it's just like...
I know. That's kind of a hard schedule, man.
Yeah. Arizona, Buffalo, New York, Baltimore.
Read that middle again, kind of?
Yeah, so after they get out of that first three in September... the Patriots.
I mean, they got Rams, Colts. I mean, it's not easy.
Oh yeah, sorry. Here we go. They go Chargers bye week, Miami, Colts, Rams, Cleveland, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Arizona, Buffalo, Jets. I mean, Baltimore.
Those like first four you named, they could lose three of those.
Yes, I agree. I mean, this schedule is not looking great.
Yeah,
it's. Yeah, that's all I got. Yeah, it's going to be bad. I don't think it's going to go great for them, but...
Yeah, I got them going 8-8. 8-8.
I agree. I got them going about probably doing the same thing. I could see them squeaking out some games. I got them about 9-6. Probably going to finish second in the division, I think, because I do not have high hopes for these next two teams.
I actually have them second as well. I was wondering about your Baltimore.
Yeah.
I'm not. Let's go to Baltimore because honestly,
I
thought they were going to be good, and then I kind of looked at them and I'm like,
I am the same way. So, all right. Oh, that makes this feel so much better. I did the exact same thing. In my mind, before I did my prep, I had this division going a separate way. Basically just flipping the Steelers-Ravens.
Same. I had them second.
And, man, after looking at the Ravens, people are not talking about what the Ravens have not done this offseason enough.
No.
Here we go. Ravens last year went 10-6, were first in the AFC North. This offseason, they haven't done anything. They signed
nothing.
Mark Ingram. Earl Thomas is a nice piece. They signed the bionic leg in Justin Tucker. But outside of that, dude, this team is missing some pieces.
I don't know. I mean, we can talk about who they lost, which is a fuck ton.
Yes.
I mean, they lost Eric Weddle. All right, you replace him with Earl Thomas. Both probably Hall of Famers. Earl's probably a little better, but Eric Weddle, as he's gotten older, he's actually held up well body-wise. So, I mean, and Earl Thomas is coming off of an injury, so I mean, there could be an issue there. I like the Mark Ingram addition. I mean, obviously they're going to be running the ball a lot, so Mark Ingram's good. But they also lost Suggs. I mean, he's been on the squad forever. He's old. He's aging. But I mean, they lost Suggs. They lost C.J. Mosley and Zadarius Smith. I mean, they lost like quality players.
Yes.
And they drafted Marquise Brown, Hollywood. I think we discussed this a couple weeks ago with the whole draft. I think Marquise is a damn good player, but I don't think he fits there. They don't throw the ball. They run the ball. He's tiny. He can't block. He's not a good fit for me there.
Yeah.
And personally, I'm just not a Lamar Jackson guy. I think he was awesome in college. He was fun to watch. I think he's fine as a person. I don't know anything negatives about him. I just don't think his game translates in the long term to the NFL. We've just seen it too many times. It just, in my opinion, it doesn't. I think he'll end up just getting hurt.
So, yeah, I got a little bit of a disagreement on the Lamar, and I'll get to that in a second because you got a lot there. I'll backwork it. Scruggs was a big one that I meant to mention. Deteriorating playing-wise, but he has been the heart and soul of that defense since Ray Lewis, basically.
Yeah, I was going to say, he's Ray Lewis after Ray Lewis.
Exactly. And he's a heck of a piece just from a mindset point, getting players right, keeping the defense in the right mindset. I'm looking at this defense. It doesn't look as intimidating as a Ravens defense feels like it should. And the offense just is like, I don't know what the plan is here. Like, no, I don't know how they expect to score points because Marquise Brown, as we said a couple weeks ago, love him as a player. I think he'd be electric on a lot of teams that open up the pass game. But this is a team that's running the triple option with some pass plays. I don't know what the plan is. I don't know if the GM for the Ravens forgot to look at what they have offensively, but it's not good. It's not going to get the job done. Just plain pure.
No. Willie Snead?
Yeah.
Willie Snead? You kidding me? I mean,
I like Hayden Hurst, though, the tight end. Do like him.
Yes, I do, too. I like him, too. I looked at position group. I like one group, safeties. Earl Thomas and Tony Jefferson. It's a good group. But, I mean, on defensive end, they're starting like Pernell McPhee. He was on the Skins last year, and, I mean, he got like 6 snaps a game. He's going to start? I mean, come on.
It doesn't feel like they put together a football team. Like, it's just, I don't know what they did.
They didn't do anything. They got worse.
They went from being the first team in the AFC North to, quite honestly, if the Bengals were in such a dumpster fire now,
the Bengals are terrible.
The worst team in the AFC North. So,
I should say, I always disrespect the Ravens. I always kind of look at their roster. I'm like, they have no offense. They never seem to have an offense. I'm always like, they have no offense, and they always seem to have wins. So I got them going 7-9, but.
Yep, I had them at the exact same place, 8-8, 7-9. Because I looked at their schedule. It's not a terrible schedule. Here's the other thing: I like hardball coaching. Hardball coaching works better in the NFL than it does in college because their offenses are not sufficient enough for college football at this point. But both brothers are very good coaches. I like hardball teams. They do seem to always kind of figure it out. The Ravens. And I mentioned I was going to bring back to Lamar Jackson. I think Lamar Jackson, as long as they can keep him healthy, which is going to be the problem with this offense, I do like him. I think he's got potential to do it because he did throw the ball well enough in college where you're like,
He did.
He needs coaching. Don't get me wrong. He has some progression.
Yeah.
I do fear a sophomore, not even a drop off because he didn't play all of last year, but
he just won games.
Exactly. Not a great
when he started playing. Like
right.
It's like he's blazing fast and was running all over the fucking field, but he wasn't, in my opinion, like he wasn't putting up insane stats. You know what I mean?
Here's the concerning part to me with the Lamar Jackson thing, because I do think in the right system with the right coaching, he could be an NFL quarterback. The problem is the Ravens do not seem to be putting together a roster that's going to allow him to develop a throw game. It does seem the plan is to just run him into the ground, because I don't know how you expect him to drop back and pass with the weapons. You've got guys that cannot go up against big corners or even just average-sized corners and go get a football.
Yeah. I mean, and especially a lot of times, other than like a Deshaun Jackson type, a lot of times these little speedy wide receivers that go early in drafts, they don't work out.
No.
I mean, Tavon Austin, we'll talk about the Bengals here, John Ross. I mean, there's little guys that get taken in the first round that a lot of times do not pan out in the NFL. So, I mean, I hope Marquise plays well, but there's a chance that he's not going to do anything.
Yeah. The schedule is not awesome for the Ravens. It starts out very nice. Miami Cardinals. I think that's 2 wins that they could get.
And I think they have 2 straight toughies then, right?
They've got, I would argue, 3 to 4. They go at Kansas City, Browns, Steelers, Bengals, Seahawks, bye. And then they come off their bye and they're playing New England, who by that time in the year is firing on all cylinders. Then they play the Bengals, which is good. They play Houston, who will probably not even have a football team at that point because they'll all be on IR. Then they got the Rams, 49ers, not great. Buffalo, Jets, Cleveland, Pittsburgh. Not a great schedule.
That ain't easy. No, that's not easy either, man. I mean,
there are some wins they can squeak out.
Your wins are like Bengals and Dolphins. I mean,
yep, Bengals, Dolphins, Cardinals. I had. Yeah. I think they might.
The Jets.
They played the Jets. They played Buffalo, which at that point in the year,
Buffalo may be rolling, dude.
Buffalo. Here's the thing I said with the Ravens. The way the Ravens back into their schedule works, it's either going to be a nightmare of a gauntlet or a lot of teams are going to have blown up. Because Buffalo could be rolling, or I could also see them.
Suck.
Yep. Same with Browns. The Browns by then will either be rolling or they will be an absolute disaster that cannot get out of the spotlight.
Yeah, it'll be a dumpster fire that everyone's talking about.
Exactly. And it will be imploding on itself. Like, Odell will be fighting Nets and probably Baker. And, it's just... So that is, at that point, it's either working very well or it's an there's no in-between with the Browns. Same with Buffalo. Same with San Francisco. San Francisco could be rolling or they also could be burning. So that back into the schedule is where I think they might be able to pick up games. But they really have to hope teams are burning. Otherwise, this is going to be a nightmare of a situation in Baltimore because this schedule is not easy.
Yeah, it could get ugly. Could definitely get ugly.
Yep. That's where I lie on them. Third, maybe win 8 games. Probably more.
I got them third as well.
Yep. Alrighty. To finish it all out, the bungholes, Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Talk about a team who at one point was looking Super Bowl contenderish a couple years ago.
Talent everywhere. Yeah.
Absolutely just what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
Go ahead and start if you'd like.
We just discussed, who are the Ravens at? Well, who are the Bengals at? I mean, they didn't add anyone.
No.
They added Tyler Eifert, who was good 4 years ago for one season.
Dude, okay. The Tyler Eifert thing.
Jordan Reed makes Tyler Eifert look like he plays no games. I mean, Jordan Reed looks like he plays the most healthy player in the world.
Dude, he's Mr. Glass at this point. Tyler Eifert, awesome human. Like him as a person. Like him as a healthy football player. But the dude is a liability on the roster. It makes no sense to be paying his contract when he literally only plays a handful of games every year. He's probably got a hamstring injury as we speak in OTAs.
Probably. They added no one, dude. I mean, they added B.W. Webb from the Giants.
Yeah.
He's trash. I mean, he's not good.
It's so bad.
I had to look up who the coach was. I mean, I knew it wasn't Marvin anymore. I was like, who's coaching the squad here?
Yeah, that's the other thing. This is where it gets really, really tough for me to think the Bengals are about to do anything. Their draft, which I'll get to in a second, was actually good, but you hired a QB coach to be your head football coach.
Yeah.
What are we doing? I know with the whole, like, you got a cup of coffee with Sean McVay, you're qualified to be a head coach nowadays. The dude has never even been an offensive coordinator. I don't believe. I might be mistaken. In the NFL. Uh-huh. And now he's going to be the head coach of a team that doesn't have a lot of talent on it right now and is got an ownership group who, for the most part, one, doesn't like to spend money on talent, and two, doesn't really seem to have an idea of how to put together a winning, sustainable team. And I'm talking playoff winning, sustained team. Yeah. Not going 10-10 and bombing out in the first round.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. There's a few players I like. I like Joe Mixon. I think he's a talented player. I mean, last year he averaged 5 yards a carry. He had something like 45 catches. I like him. I think Mixon's a good player. I think they're going to go away from Andy Dalton.
Yeah.
I think A.J. Green could be done there too. He has 1 year left on his contract, I believe.
Yeah, both him and Dalton, I believe, have a year.
Yeah, so I think they could be moving on from the Andy-A.J. Tandem. So maybe they're tanking a little bit. This team sucks, man. I have them going 3-13. I haven't beat. They've got a few shitty teams they're playing. They're playing the Cardinals, the Raiders, and Dolphins. I have them winning those 3 games.
Exactly.
But I mean, they could also lose any of those 3 games.
Yeah. Here's the thing. If you're a Bengals fan, this is what I will say. Your backfield is got the potential to be one of the just most dominating running back groups out there.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon is a very good football player. Giovanni Bernard, I would assume, is probably out. But here's where it gets interesting for me. Trayvon Williams, who's out of A&M, I thought was a steal in the draft. I watched a lot of A&M football this year. Mm-hmm. He is I think has the potential to be a very good player. And then you got Rodney Anderson, who we didn't really see much down in Oklahoma because he got injured early in the season. But if he ends up being the football player he's supposed to be, there's a lot of potential in that backfield. The wide receiver group should give you a heart attack because outside of A.J. Green, you've got nobody. Andy Dalton is a quarterback where if you don't surround him, he's water. He adjusts to any sit. You put him in a glass, he fits in a glass. If you get rid of the glass, he's all over the place. Like, he is got no weapons here whatsoever offensively.
Oh, well, they got the stud John Ross, number 9 pick, dude. John Ross.
What an absolute disaster.
Number 9 pick, just absolute bust. After A.J. Green, who the hell do you throw the ball to? I have no idea. I like some players on their defense. I like Carlos Dunlap, Geno Atkins, good players.
There's where this
team, this is just a bad team. This is a bad football team.
It's a bad football team. There's no depth. Defensively, Dunlap, good. Sam Hubbard, I think, is going to be a good player. Geno Atkins is a just monster. I like Nick Vigil. He's pretty good. Mm-hmm. But outside of that, you've got a problem on the back end. You've got a problem everywhere. I mean, it's just bad. It's a bad
squad.
Team. You went from the Browns,
it really is.
Yeah, being the joke to like the Cincinnati Bengals, who were a very competitive football team for a very long time. Who you never talked about having a talent issue. Who did draft, I think, arguably very well. The problem is like they're just going to get slaughtered. I mean, you're laying these young players out to get just destroyed.
This is bad.
Yeah, it's bad. That's the motto here. And their schedule is not awesome, I would say. There's potential to win some games, but for the most part, there's potential to get murdered in some very big games. You got Seattle to open the season, 49ers, Bills, Pittsburgh, Arizona, Baltimore, Jacksonville Rams, Baltimore, Oakland, Pittsburgh, Jets, Cleveland, New England at the end of the year, Miami, Cleveland. So, not great.
No, not great at all. I mean, they could start 0-4 easily.
Yeah, very quickly. Probably beat Arizona because Arizona is another team where you look at their roster and you're like, what are you doing?
Oh, my God, yeah.
But then you've got 2 teams in Baltimore who, yes, we did just spend a good time ripping on, but, like, I don't know, maybe they put it together on defense and just squeeze one out there. Then you got Jacksonville and the Rams. That sounds like you're going to be in physical pain heading to your bye week. And then you got Baltimore and Oakland, who Oakland is boom or bust for sure.
Yes.
And then it's just, it's not good. If you're a Bengals fan, you just got to pray that I don't know what your plan is for Andy Dalton, because you're going to let him go. Jeff Driscoll's a nice piece, but
pray you do worse than the Dolphins and get Tua. I don't know. But then who the hell's Tua going to throw the ball to? I have no fucking idea.
Or you can go with the real strategy, which I don't really know why people, maybe they are, or maybe they're not. They just start building assets so that they bomb when Trevor Lawrence is up in 2 years. And you go get him because...
If Trevor Lawrence wasn't 2 years away, I'd be all in for tanking this year. Oh,
dude,
my God.
Blow it up. Just blow it up.
Dude.
Just start putting...
So many teams next year are going to tank for Trevor.
Yep.
I mean...
Just start putting some assets. You got to go grab some wide receivers in the draft. Go draft some offensive linemen or sign some offensive linemen. Get some assets, but still bomb.
Still bomb, yeah. Just have a shit quarterback. Just have someone real shitty.
You know... Ryan Fitzpatrick did get signed by the Dolphins. You want him to be your starter. He'll win you like 4 games maybe.
He'll win you 4 games with 500 yards, 4 touchdowns. But man, those losses. Woo!
He'll make sure you get Trevor Lawrence. All righty. That's all I got there. Anything else on the Bengals before we wrap it up?
No, nothing really.
Got some final thoughts? Anything there?
Nothing major. Just wanted to give a shout out to ESPN for being big douchebags about Bill Buckner and when he died. So I'm watching the lacrosse finals yesterday. UVA, great win for them. Great win for the local team. And down the old ESPN ticker, breaking news: Bill Buckner dies. And it's like played 22 seasons, known for his fatal error in the World Series, Game 6 or something. I'm just like, God damn, maybe that's what he's mostly known for, but he also had 2,700 hits and batted 290. I mean,
yep,
he's a star. And then it's just fucked up that that's how they give him his tribute and all that. And then I see this tweet from Tyler Kepner. I'm not sure who he is, but he's got the check mark, so it must be a pretty big deal. But it says on Sunday, which was the last full day of Bill Buckner's life, 16 major leaguers struck out at least 3 times in their game. Buckner played 22 seasons and never did it once.
Yep.
Just kind of fucked.
It is. Here's what I think. I'm glad you brought this up. Bill Buckner, diehard Red Sox fan here. He was before my time, though, so I don't really care as much. What he went through after that play sucks. Here's what I will say, though, about ESPN and even NBC, who ran it before the hockey game. They all had the same message. He shouldn't be remembered for this. Well, then don't bring it up.
There you go.
You know what half the nation probably doesn't know, probably even more than that, is that he missed that ground ball against the Mets in a World Series game that nobody cares about anymore, except for Mets fans. Like, you know what? Maybe don't bring up that if you don't want it to be his legacy. Bill Buckner, great guy, great baseball player. He went through some real shit.
He played for over 4 decades, but he played through 4 decades of time in those 22 years.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Here's the other thing. To the death things, like, I don't know why people tweet out, like, he can't see this. His family is not looking up Joe Schmo's tweet. Like, I don't understand this whole tweeting out all these things. If you have something nice to say, dude, fucking do it, whatever. But, like, it gets weird around this time. In ESPN, that was a dick move.
It's just not a good look.
That's all I got on that.
This is a shitty thing to do.
Yeah, all right. Well, that wraps it up. We will be back next week, as always. We got another divisional roundup, and have a nice week. Peace.